So hello, everyone. I am Melissa McCullough, and I'm a clinical supervisor at Cora Services, and I oversee our SAP assessment program. Cora is currently providing SAP assessment services in Philadelphia County, which is an urban region, and we service one school district, which is the School District of Philadelphia. We are one of 3 providers servicing the School District of Philadelphia because of the volume of schools. We are currently in 112 school sites. 87 of those are Philadelphia public schools, kindergarten through 12th grade, and 16 are charter schools, also kindergarten through 12th graders, and we are in 9 Catholic high schools. We currently have 6 SAP assessors, and we complete assessments that are blended to include both mental health and substance use issues. We use the BH tool as a part of our assessment, so our assessors kind of structure the assessment process. Is a portion of it is the clinical interview with the student and child, and the other portion is the behavioral health tool. All right. We began implementing the adolescent version of the tool in May of 2015 and have completed 1,288 adolescent screenings. And we just recently began the child version of the tool in October and have completed about 80 child screenings at this point. Okay. As far as implementation challenges, the adolescent version, we're about 3.5 years in at this point, so I think we've really worked out any major issues or obstacles, and things have been running smoothly. We still encounter some issues with parent and student participation. And typically these are students or families that are just hesitant or reluctant to participate in the assessment process overall. And then we just have, I'm just calling them other issues that come up that might interfere with us using the tool. An emergency or a crisis that may come up very early on in our meeting with the student, and reading ability has come up as a challenge. Our younger adolescents in that 12 to 14-year-old range may have reading comprehension issues, some intellectual disabilities, and their reading levels are more consistent with that of an 8 to 9-year-old. In terms of challenges with the child version, it's new, so we are just kind of experiencing some growing pains restructuring how we're doing the assessments with those younger students and families. And the feedback that we're getting from families is just that there's a huge time commitment to it. The length of the tool with the validation battery has felt overwhelming to them. And my hope is once that validation battery piece is removed, no longer necessary, that won't be a strong feedback that we're getting. The other challenge is just language barriers. We receive a lot of referrals from families where their primary language is not English. I would say we probably have about 8 different languages that are pretty common. That will be the family's primary language that are not English, and so we are, just running into some obstacles there. I'd be curious to see if anyone else that's doing the child version is having any of these challenges as well. In terms of successes for the adolescent version, we've certainly seen some. I think overall the results from the tool are really reinforcing the clinical interview findings as well as any school feedback that has been given. And so then a parent and a student is hearing 3 kind of consistent messages from 3 sources. And this kind of helps place an importance on what's going on with their child. I think it also helps parents understand the significance of the issues. So parents who may tend to minimize what's going on with their child when they review the screening tool, they are often surprised and might be more likely to follow through with recommendations based on seeing some of those significant areas popping up like suicidality, depression, and anxiety. And I would say by far the most significant value of the tool for Cora has been the identification of suicide risk. If a student is presenting as pretty shy, quiet, not as open or verbal during the clinical interview, they may feel more comfortable answering questions on the computer on the screening tool, and then the assessor is able to follow up and assess further those really concerning areas. Okay. In terms of our data for the adolescent tool, I think we're seeing a pretty consistent findings with other agencies that depression, anxiety, and trauma are the main kind of areas of concern and risk factors that are showing up. I guess in comparison to other spotlights I've seen, it does seem like anxiety comes up consistently as the most significant risk factor. And for us, it appears to be depression. And substance abuse on our end, the reporting looks a little lower than I might anticipate. So I'm not sure what that's about. Tita, would you say that's accurate?
Yeah,
does that sound about right?
it's a little lower than what we've seen. I wonder, once we look at the substance use, it's probably much higher than what the abuse is being calculated at.
Okay. So this slide just does a breakdown of both depression and suicide. So of the 1,288 screenings, over 1,000 came up with positive screens for depression, which is certainly high, and it's also really concerning. And what's even more concerning is that the majority of those are showing severe range of depression. And then same with suicide, close to 400 students are having positive screens for suicide, 318 with a history, and close to 80 that have current thoughts of suicide. And so again, while this is certainly concerning, I think it also tells us that we're seeing the right kids and students, the ones that have the greatest risk, and we're able to intervene, provide resources and recommendations to students that might not otherwise be receiving support in the school or outside of the school setting. All right, so in summary, we're using both of the tools right now. I think we're very well adjusted as an agency to the adolescent version, not getting a whole lot of pushback, and that's really been going well. And then just working through those challenges with the child version. I think the parents and the SAP assessors are very excited for that validation phase to be over. Data is pretty consistent with other counties with depression, anxiety, trauma, and suicide. And I'm just personally looking forward to viewing some of our data from the child version. I'm interested in what areas are coming up in terms of highest risk and concern levels, because we are seeing increasingly intense issues with our younger population. We're seeing a lot of students presenting with, of course, exposure to substance use, severe acting out, intense trauma histories, and a lot that have current or past suicidal thoughts and gestures. So I'd be curious to see if the parents are reporting these concerns and what that's looking like from a data standpoint. And that's all I've got.
Thank you very much, Melissa.
Thank you for your time.